It's an interesting day for new Capenna spoilers. Not only did we get the expected Broker's Charm to look at, but we have a set of ultra exclusive family oriented tokens as well.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered to talk about some Streets of New Capenna goodness, all right? We've got a spoiler card, we've got spoiler tokens, and if you didn't know, the Streets of New Capenna story has finished. And over on Fantasy Geographic, I have all 5 parts of the story. So if you want to know everything that happens in New Capenna, head on over and check it out. It's pretty wild the way the story ends. Now, let's dive in to the spoiler action, starting out with Broker's Charm. I'll put both versions up on the screen for you. So, Broker's Charm is 1 blue, 1 white, and 1 green for an instant that says choose one. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. If it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So it's that pseudo fight ability where you can have one of your creatures just go ahead and whack somebody. Now, I absolutely love that ability. I use it a lot in my mono green deck. And whenever you get something that tacks an extra power on, that's a nice little boost. All of a sudden, your 1 power little donk you don't care about can trade for a 2 toughness creature at the lowest level. And obviously, you can get much better deals than that. The other ability on this card is to destroy target enchantment, and the third ability is to destroy 2 cards. So overall, this isn't too shabby. The abilities definitely feel like they line up with the colors properly, right? Obviously, green is that first fight ability and gaining the power, the white ability is destroying target enchantment, and the blue ability is drawing 2 cards. So in terms of flavor for the colors, this card ticks all the boxes. Now, in terms of the artwork, I will admit that the original picture is not as exciting to me. It is the broker's seal, which is essentially Falco, right? He's the one in charge of the brokers, and it's all based around him. Not every group is as egocentric, but Falco has some serious ego situation going on. Now, on the other artwork for the high rise, we can see a broker's contract. Now, this to me is a much better piece of artwork because the brokers are interesting. They're a crime family, but they ultimately have a noble goal. They're trying to stop a doomsday prophecy from being fulfilled about the end of New Capenna. So to do so, the brokers are feverishly signing as many people up to contracts as they can. And these work along the lines of mob boss favors, where it's like, I will do this for you, but one day I'll come to you and you must do me a favor. But these favors are bound into magical contracts which sometimes erase the memory of the contract themselves. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on with the brokers, and this is a great example of their particular flavor. I like it with the document being stamped. Here is our magical contract with those lines of power waving out. It's a pretty neat idea, and ultimately, I wish that the brokers had featured more prominently in the story of New Capenna. Now, let's turn to these super exclusive family treasure tokens. You can only get these in a very specific way, which we'll go over after we talk about the tokens. So we're going to start out by looking at the Maestro token. So this is a treasure token where you can see Xander, the leader of the Maestros, in the back. He has this angelic statue in front of him, and it's got this glow to it. Now, Xander is a major character in the New Capenna story. He is one of the original kind of signing the setup of New Capenna individuals who worked under the original Demon Lords, right? He's been around the whole time, but he's lost his memory. He doesn't remember the original days of New Capenna, and so he has laboriously hoarded up all of these historical documents and statues and things like that. It actually plays out in a really interesting way in the story. Elspeth ends up working for him. He's a cool character with a lot of personality built into him. Out of all of the leaders of all 5 guilds, Xander is absolutely the most fleshed out. And so for me, that makes this token that much more enjoyable. You see him in the background with his finery and the angel statue in the front as sort of a reminder of what his focus is, right? And you can see they also have the gold stamped Maestro's word across it, as well as their insignia. And this will carry across 5 of the 6 tokens. So the second token is the Riveters token. Riveteers, I should say. It's got 2 E's in there. Riveteers, like the Mouseketeers. So you can see this one is a spiked chalice. Who would want to drink from this thing? Actually, at first glance, you might not even realize that the leader of the Riveteers is in this artwork. The shadowy, like way in the back kind of dragon face, that's the leader back there. They show up so little in the story that off the top of my head, I can't even remember their leader's name. The story is not equal in terms of representing all of these different families. And for me, this Riveteers one is one of the lesser exciting ones, both from a story perspective and from the art perspective. It doesn't excite me the same way that the previous token did. After that, we've got the Cabaretti. I always take an A out of their name, right? So you've got the Cabaretti, and you can see Jetmir here leaned over. Like, this is so cool. Jetmir is the second most fleshed out leader from all of the story as well, right? The Cabretti and the Maestros are the main focus. And Jetmir actually plays a role even in one of the side stories too, where he basically brings Kit Canto in as a loud singer, but has her does like criminal deeds to join the organization. He's just this big, fat, rich party boy gangster. He's got a great vibe to him, right? And I like the kind of shadowy nature of him in the background with the glow in the center as a contrast. That works out really well for me, all right? Now, let us move on to the Obscura. These are led by Rafine. Rafine is a demon sphinx, which is a really cool concept. And I wondered how it came about. If you didn't know already, the demon lords who ruled over New Capenna, the people they picked to rule the different families, they infused all of them with demonic blood. So that's why Rafine was originally just a sphinx and is now a demon sphinx, which is really cool to me. And the artwork shows the kind of thing you would expect to see a sphinx doing, right? Reading a magical tome. And look how incredible the tome itself looks, right? The pages have this kind of flowy vibe to them. There's this blue magical energy in the middle, and the front of it is covered in inscrutable runes. So it definitely gives the right kind of vibe for the Obscura, which is a family full of mystics, people who can see the future, sphinxes, all that sort of somewhat esoteric, out there style individual. So it's got the right flavor for that, right? And that just leaves us with the final family that we haven't talked about yet, and that is the Brokers. And with the Brokers, they're led by Falco. And as I mentioned before, they're all about trying to get these different contracts signed. I wish they had dived more into what's going on with the Brokers, because Falco is an interesting individual. He will destroy people who have broken contracts. He'll literally throw them off of buildings, but he recognizes that he has a fundamental flaw. He's the leader of this organization who's trying to stop this doomsday scenario, but he doesn't have a proper conscience. So by basically taking a member of his own family and putting him into these situations to test the conscience, he basically cultivates somebody to be his own conscience, I should say. Conscience, not conscious. Somebody to tell him right from wrong and say, hey, no, you shouldn't end the life of small children and stuff like that, right? So it's very interesting to see a being as powerful as Falco also go, you know what, I'm flawed and I need a way to shore up these flaws because I have a really important task that I must take care of. I really like that. It adds depth to the character. Now, the final treasure token, you got to be wondering, well, there's only 5 families. What's the final one? The final one is a goblet of Halo, all right? And Halo is some crazy stuff. It can heal your wounds, fill you with joy, make your body flow with magical power. It can be used as the focus for massively powerful spells. And today we finally learned what Halo actually is, the genuine origins of Halo, how it's made, and it's insane. So that's covered in the story over on Fantasy Geographic, the 5th installment as it unfolds. If you haven't checked it out at all, I'll put the playlist to the entire storyline up at the top of the screen, and at the bottom, I'll put just the 5th video in case you have been keeping up, all right? So, big thank you to all of my patrons. If you want to know how to get these tokens, you can only get them from getting collector boxes and only in Southeast Asia, all right? So, thanks for coming by, my friends. See you next time.